good art isn't necessarily professional art. Good art is just art that's created by artists.
The Wilmington Drama League, 75 years of theater at its finest.
We do some kick-butt theater. Lots of kick-butt theater here.
It's an organization that's really pulled itself up by the bootstraps.
The Drama League raised me, in a sense, to be an artist. If I hadn't been here, I wouldn't be an artist.
It's always been an interesting place to be around because the people are full of pep, vim, and vigor.
We have a lot of talent here, professional quality talent.
This is probably one of the better amateur theaters around.
The art gallery got started with 3 men, Bob Withers, Phil Jones, and Charlie Freeman. And at the time, we didn't even have a bar. They put a bar up here in the end, at this end of the lobby, and the walls were brick. Phil is a local artist and teacher, and he had a lot of arts friends. He got them to come and contribute, and that's how the art gallery got started. I was the VP of planning, and we hadn't been doing a one-act festival for quite a while. I was planning the season, and I thought that we should have a one-act festival. And I looked around to find somebody to do it, and I felt, well, I'm it. I'm the one to run it, and I started running it. I've probably run more than 20.
There was a young woman named Sandy Leader who really thought that we should have a special program just for kids and for teenagers. So with her suggestions, we went ahead and we scheduled a show that was just cast with young people, and the young people performed a lot of the auxiliary roles as well. And that grew into an organization that was at times pretty autonomous, and we would take times when the stage wasn't being used and we would fill it with youth productions. And after, I think, about 10 years, Chris Walker thought that we ought to formalize the whole thing and suggested that we come up with a name, and we spent a lot of time discussing a name. And Chrysalis seemed like a great idea, the idea of something good emerging or being born. And this idea of linking a student with an adult in each board position occurred at the same time.
The Pillow Play series came about as a marketing idea. For years ago, we were doing 2 children's plays every 6 months or so, and how could any family remember from one to the other? And I said, if we have more children who want to act, then why don't we give them opportunities to do so? And I suggested that we avoid some of the technical aspects of theater, some of the lighting and sound that we don't have young people interested in, and do small plays in the lobby. We call them pillow plays because the audience members are invited to bring a pillow or stuffed animal.
First Draft is a group of local writers, playwrights that meet occasionally throughout the year and provide an open forum to exchange ideas and provide a playwright to have her or his work read aloud.
I found a teacher, and she was unable to complete it. She couldn't show up to the first class, and then everybody was like, well, Kathy, why don't you teach them? And I said, I'm not a teacher. And so, but we didn't have anybody else, so then I started, and it has worked fabulously. I love children and their capacity to learn, and they teach me all the time.
People like Ruby are the heart and soul of the place.
Wilmington Drama League represents a place where people from all walks of life can come together and make something special happen.
To me, the Wilmington Drama League represents great theater and great experiences for kids, for families, and for anyone who walks through the door.
The Wilmington Drama League represents my family.
Yeah, I guess that's what it means to me, is a place where I just feel like I am me.
It's a big, warm fuzzy.
The Drama League represents a nice home for me to be able to do my hobby.
The people that I've met there and the actual building itself and the history of the Drama League.
What do I like most about the Wilmington Drama League? I would tend to say the camaraderie, the support system, the sense of family. For me personally, I also love to watch the kids succeed and grow. It's really something very encouraging and uplifting.
The history I think that my own family has in it with my grandparents and things, and now I have my own kids, but I did bring them in so they could see where their great-grandpa, would build sets and things like that.
But I really would like to see Wilmington businesses, small businesses around Wilmington to step up and support us. Smaller arts organizations like the Drama League, we really depend more on the smaller businesses or the local businesses.
There are very few people around here that I know because you've got new generations coming along all the time, and that's very good.
The people. I mean, the people as in the people in the productions, the people that we are able to touch.
Anything that you want to do, you can do here. And if you don't know it, they'll teach it to you.
So the personalities have changed, but I think the dedication has always been here, and it's still here. The cast are important to a show. If you really enjoy working with the people, then the show becomes a favorite, whether the lines are your favorite or not.
I would like to see preserved a history of the previous 75 years, a respect for that by revisiting some of the older shows that don't get done as frequently because of the newer shows. So every now and again, let's revisit something along those lines, but also keep it fresh, introduce new theater works to keep it alive. We just have to keep it going because we've got quite a jewel in this community.
I think this idea of volunteerism and energy and almost a ministry to young people, I don't think that we ever want to forget how really essential the idea of theater for young people is.
One of the legacies of Ted Wilson was he really hammered home the idea that in community theater, one of the primary objectives should be that people are enjoying themselves.
What I'd like to see preserved is all our archived materials we have.
You want to preserve everything. You want to preserve the building. You want to preserve the contents of the building. You just want everything to be the way it is, and you want to add to it on top of that. So on top of 75 years, you want another 75 years.
As the theater continues into the future, to continue with the children's wing or the chrysalis players and allowing our youth to be able to do everything, not just be on the stage, but learn everything behind the scenes.
The people at the Drama League are the most amazing people I've ever come across in my life.
Well, the people of the Drama League is obviously what makes the place special.
It is one big family.
There's a lot of people here that when they consider their list of friends, they're almost all here.
I can't imagine not having met the Drama League family that I have now.
Everybody just wants to see everyone succeed here.
I help because that's just part of what you do. And they're always shocked by that because here I am, I was a lead in a play and I was like, oh, here, I'll help you come paint. And they're like, what? Whereas in other professional theaters and things, it's just different. It's like the stage people and the acting people are two different groups of people. And here, we were all the same.
And the support system is quite phenomenal.
The people who love this building keep reproducing themselves and replacing themselves, and it'll be around forever. I really have every faith.
My fondest memories. Mama and Papa.
I do not think that community theater is amateurish on a whole, and I think it is fully capable of really professional level performances. And in fact, that reminds me, that is my favorite memory of the Drama League, is coming to see a show that is so good, it just makes me weep. Whoop! I'm weeping now. But no, when I see a show where the cast and the whole production is just spot on, it tugs at my heart. It just makes me so happy.
Working hard and partying hard too, because we always have some pretty good parties.
Parties. The first time I gave a party that I didn't know I was going to give, when a friend of mine stood up and announced the party was at my house that night. So fortunately I had a lot of snacks.
One of the most amazing was the highly unexpected presentation of the Judge Brammer Award. I had always considered it a lifetime achievement kind of thing. I was doing food for the end of season party and just kind of running around and doing this and that, and I kind of heard out of the side of my ear, he's describing this person which had made this significant contribution and pitched in wherever needed and all this stuff, and I was like, oh, that's really awesome. So I'm just like putting food out and stuff, and then he starts telling the story of when he and I were on the roof cleaning out the gutter thing that was clogged and creating a flood, and how this person had, against his better judgment, slid on the ice out and just gotten this sludge and thrown it down and said something about moms will touch things that would gag the Roto-Rooter man. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's Jeff Foxworthy. He's talking about me. And then he just called me up on stage, and everybody just, applause is the way people thank people in theater, and there was just so much love in that room, and I just lost it, and told everybody thank you for giving me and my kids and all the kids I work with and all the adults I work with a place to grow.
And I know when Bob and I got together, he said, so many women come here looking for a man and then they want to take him away from the theater. Well, I thought, well, I'm not going to do that because I'm staying too, and we were here together for 27 years. So I didn't find a man and take him away from the theater. I stayed.
Bob Withers, when he did on Bar at Time with my brother Doug, and that show was also a really, really, really good show. I wish everybody could go back and see them. I wish they didn't have video. I mean, Pop did movie camera things, but there's no sound. And I don't think he did anything other plays, but these plays were awesome. I mean, these people were really, it was beautiful to watch.
Time for Bob when we felt a great success. Bob directed One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest the first time it was done. And it was a difficult show to put together because of all the ensemble work. And he was very discouraged. And he didn't come the opening night in time to be here before. And I guess he came in just as the audience doors opened at the end of intermission. And you could feel the energy and the success of the show. As he came this way, the energy just met him at the door. And he said, what happened? I said, I don't know, but you've got a miracle. And it was a wonderful show. And we just did it this past year. I staged a reunion of the cast that was in the show 32 years ago with the cast here. We had a party. We had a wonderful time. And I hope Bob was watching.
The other thing that's fun about community theater is that not only are there live people up on stage, but quite often they are your friends, your coworkers, your spouse. They're people and so that just adds an extra layer of fun to it.
I got involved with the community theater because I do my acting, my directing, my singing for the love of it. I'm here because I want to share the gifts I've been given, and I want to help cultivate the gifts that others have been given and work together to make something pretty incredible.
I would like people to just continue to support community theater, to recognize that it's it's excellent entertainment at a reasonable price. And if we can get the audiences, we'll be here for another 75. And I just hope the people watching this video recognize that there is something special about live theater.
We're doing it. It's almost, and I'm going to steal a quote, it's the purest form of theater because everyone is here because they want to do it. This building and these people have kept up with the changing times of the world, of theater, of the requirements of an audience, but they have never lost that sense of community.
My thoughts about the Drama League is that it's been here for longer than 75 years. It feels like it's been around for a lot longer.
The first 75 seasons of the Drama League has offered everything from the classics to newer, more eclectic theater, but we do offer something for everybody.
It seems like it's always been here, and it seems like that 75 years has elapsed like that, and it's the timeless nature of the thing that 75 years doesn't even matter. It could be 100 years or it could have only been 25. It's just a very special environment that has grown over time. People come in and come out, and the renewal of people is what makes it a vibrant thing.
That we have another 75 ahead of us, that we can build on the tradition that we have and the strengths that we have, and this place will go on.
Wow, we lasted 75 years. We must be doing something right.
In 75 years, I would like the Drama League to maybe have a second performance space. That's been one of the big, dreams of having sort of a second stage where we could do more experimental stuff. In 75 years, I'd like to see us, maybe becoming a real mecca for original plays and emerging playwrights.
Community theater isn't a real venue for cutting edge kind of theater, but every now and again I'd like to see the Drama League push the envelope a little bit and challenge the community to think once in a while.
I would like the Drama League to maintain its status as a wonderful, supportive family feeling for everyone involved, to produce the best work that we know how to produce with the most talented people I've ever met, and to keep the education of its youth growing, to keep the enthusiasm for the Wilmington Drama League alive, because it is very well alive and kicking, and we want to keep it that way.
We do not continue to educate young people with their enthusiasm and fresh look on, theater, then everybody will go away to a better place, and no one will take over.
It's hard to say what it'd be like, because had you asked me that question 25 years ago or 30 years ago when I started, I probably wouldn't have imagined the changes that have taken place in those 30 years.
It was Mike Barco, a dear friend of mine of 12 years, that got me to come over and be head bartender.
They were doing The Miracle Worker, and I came to the show, and I was so impressed by the quality of performance that I thought I ought to get involved.
This is my 40th season. I began in the season of 67, 68, and I started out as a costumer, and I was a costumer for many years before I branched into anything else. Well, I worked for DuPont, and DuPont had a Employees Activities Association that did theater and sent a flyer around to desks asking for volunteers, and because I liked to sew, I volunteered for costuming. Well, the woman that was doing costuming also worked for DuPont, but she was very active here, she and her husband, Dot and Ed Jester, and we got along very well. I took to costuming very, very readily, and the next show she did here, she called me and asked me to come help her. And a year later, I was permanent chairman of costumes.
I found out about the Wilmington Drama League from many friends who had been involved. Actually, my very first show was about 10 years ago, and then I found other groups that kind of took me away a little bit, but I guess I've returned home.
Well, I've done a lot of things at the Drama League over the years. I worked mostly in set building and set design. I was on the board of directors at one time. I was the technical director for the theater for 3 or 4 years, handling all the backstage work. And I did a lot of photography, taking pictures of the cast and the performers and things like that. So I've had a lot of different experiences.
I moved to Wilmington in 1988, and I I think I looked in the yellow pages for theaters and found this one, and there was an ad for auditions, or there was an audition notice, and so I went to that and came and auditioned and eventually got cast and then started getting roped in big time, as we all do.
I think the first show I worked on was called Finishing Touches. I did the set, Ray Bach designed the set, and I built it, and we built it with a ceiling. One of the few sets that's ever been built here with a ceiling in the set, which didn't make the lighting director too happy, but it worked pretty well.
It was a very short play about someone in prison, and I was the jilted hussy wife.
I started in 1998 as the head bartender, and they asked me to be on the board shortly after that, and I said no because I felt like somebody that had been here longer should do it. And then when they asked again in 2003, I said okay, and here I am.
Actually, it was my ex-husband. He started building sets here, and I wanted to do something outside home because I was a stay-at-home mom, and I thought Drama League might be fun because I'd started doing some volunteer work at a theatre in Los Angeles when I was there and just thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought Drama League would be a great place to help out.
I did a show with the Arden Guild players, and then they told me about auditions here, and I tried out for Your Good Man, Charlie Brown, and played Patty in that, and didn't leave for a long time after that.
Read the audition notice and got involved, and pretty much have been involved ever since.
There's a tradition in the theater that there's always a light left on the stage. It's for fire protection for one thing, but it's called the ghost light. Our ghost light's got a lot of company. And occasionally around here, things will fall off of shelves or pennies will show up in unexpected places, and we're convinced that some of our departed friends still here.
We're watching over us.
And one night during getting ready for Secret Garden, Ruby Stanley and myself and someone I don't remember were sitting in the women's dressing room finishing up some costumes. It was late. It was well past midnight. And the music director just stopped in to drop something off, and as she came through the green room and then crossed the hall and into the dressing room, and she said, "Who's the man sitting on the steps?" And Ruby said, "Oh, that's Judge Brammer." And I said, "But he's been dead for 10 years. And the woman said, "Well, he's sitting out there on the steps now." And this was someone who'd never even been in the building before. So who knows what that was about, but it was kind of fun. My best memory was the opening minutes of Peter Pan. We did Peter Pan in all its glory. We employed Foy to bring in the rigging. Everybody flew. We even flew Tinkerbell, which isn't normally done. We had exploding sets. We had stuff going on out in the auditorium itself. We had the most horrific build where I don't think I left the place day or night for 3 weeks, and because we had just bitten off so much more than we could chew. I was stage managing from stage right, and I had not seen the show from the front. I'd only seen it from monitors, and never did see the show in color until I actually saw the video after it closed. But I was calling the cues for the point where Peter and the children fly away to Neverland and the nursery explodes and becomes something else. And we had, at that time, 16 people just working the ropes for the flying. And we probably had another 15 or 20 who had stage positions. And as I'm sitting there calling these cues, which were coming at about 1 every 4 seconds, I could hear behind me rustling and noise. And then as I called these cues and everything got more and more intense, and the nursery was in pieces and the orchestra was getting louder and the kids were flying into the audience, the noise behind me sort of coalesced into what it was, with which people going And everybody who didn't have a job was standing behind me watching the screen that I was watching and crying because it happened.
We're all a community, which is basically what we're striving to be, Jude. Even though we're just deemed as a community theatre, the professionalism is just so high. We'd love more people to come and volunteer for us. I just like to see more people come out and see our shows, and more people be aware of who we are and what we do. Come to the Drama League. We're here, we put on some excellent shows, and we're going to be around for another 75 years at least.
I'll tell you a story. And this is one that I heard, I did not see.
The best Drama League story I have is during The Wizard of Oz.
They had decided to use a real dog for Toto. And as the performances wore on, the dog became more and more nervous and actually some people said psychotic.
And Toto gave us a hard time with biting Dorothy once or twice on stage.
That we had a lot of smoke and stuff in Wizard of Oz, and the face would come up and there'd be smoke. So we propped the doors open so that it would suck all the smoke out.
The dog that we were using in the show, whose name happened to be Toto, was backstage, should have always been either in the cage or with the actress who was playing Dorothy.
And we weren't dumb. We kept the dog on the leash the whole time, but he somehow slipped out.
Toto decided to take a little jog up the street.
Of course, the dog had an appearance to make very shortly.
And went whoop right around the wall, stage left, past the stage manager.
I'm stage manager, and I hear, as I'm got my nose right into that script, I hear somebody yell, "Toto, come back, come back!" And I look behind me out of the corner of my eye, and there's this little dog running behind me and through the shop. And because it was hot in the theater, we had the shop door open. And then all of a sudden, the Wicked Witch of the West, Doreen.
Well, there were only 4 people who could go chase after the dog, and they were all in costume. And it was the Wicked Witch and 3 of the Flying Monkeys.
Goes running.
And stage manager, Marge Ventura, just looked around and like, oh my gosh, who's still, left off stage? And oh, there's the witch. And in full witch hat and witch makeup and green hands and green face. And she goes, go get the dog.
She runs out the stage door, down to the corner, in front of the theater steps, yelling, "Toto, come back, Toto, come back." And then she stopped dead in her tracks and realized what this must look like to all these people passing up and down on Lee Boulevard and Market Street, that there's this witch running down the street, chasing after a dog whose name happened to be Toto.
And she goes running out the back door and she looks around. Who's left? Oh, the 3 Flying Monkeys. Go help Doreen. And then, so they go running out the back door, and she's got her witch and her hat and her green and everything, and the Flying Monkeys with their little wings, and they're running down Lee Boulevard following this dog going, "Stop, Toto, stop! Stop, Toto!" And she catches the dog just before he goes out on the Lee Boulevard.
So the folks out in front on Lee Boulevard were treated to the sight of a small white dog followed by a green witch and 3 flying monkeys.
And then she breaks down hysterically laughing at the sight of the witch and run, Toto!
And they finally did get the dog back, and the dog was calmed down for the next several performances, as I understand it.
Pharmaceutically. So yeah, I am sure others told that story as well.
It was quite funny.
The people in this neighborhood must really wonder what goes on in this building at times. I think at all times.
That one will be forever in my mind.
Okay. So I thought of like 3 more.
I think that another aspect of the Drama League that was important to me, and I think continues to be important to people, is the opportunity for families to come together and work together. Families who, particularly in this day and age where everybody's going 1,000 different directions, can find common ground and common interests.
It was a really fabulous place for me to grow up.
I really like what participating in theater does for kids. Most children obviously don't go on to do it professionally, but they take with them a lot of skills that are useful in whatever they choose to do. And the confidence that that builds is, you just can't find another venue that does it quite as well.
I had a great childhood because of the Drama League. I would not have had a good childhood.
The last 5 to 7 years have been a time when there has been a new focus at the Drama League, or a renewed focus at the Drama League. We realized around 6 or 7 years ago, and I have been on the board for that many years, that if we were going to thrive as an organization, we had to expand our programs and expand our vision of what we were, rather than simply being a group of people that did shows. We had to be sure that we enabled a lot of artistic endeavor in our community.
The Drama League has made me a theater person.
I mean, that's all we ever did was the Drama League.
I think the Drama League has accomplished more than a lot of professional theater companies have. I don't know anyone that comes in here, even from other theater companies, that's not amazed at the place, the house itself, the system that we have, and the shows that we put on. And people should just know that we're no joke.
I'm thrilled to have known so many people that have been a part of the Wilmington Drama League, that have gone on to do bigger and better things. The Keith Powells of the world, the John Gallagher Juniors of the world. They got their starts here at the Wilmington Drama League, and I'm thrilled to say that I knew them when.
I have seen the building change over time, and some of the improvements I really like. Some of the improvements are a bittersweet departure from what used to be here. Something like the seats. The seats are old, but the seats are great. You know that for many years, those seats have held a lot of audience members, and it's just like a part of the place, like a seat at a baseball stadium. It has a character all its own. The main part of the building has been the same, and that's very special because it's held so much history and so much energy and so much emotion, so much blood, sweat, and tears. The stage has soaked all that up, and it would be a shame to see that torn down at any time. The lobby's a little dated, but it's, once again, it has a character, and it has absorbed the energy of all the tryouts and all the kids shows and all the things that have gone on in the building. It's absorbed that life force, and it'd be a shame to see any of it go.
The Wilmington Drama League I found as a home, and I hope to stay here forever.
I just hope that there are other people who last as long as I have and have enjoyed it as much.
Good art isn't necessarily professional art. Good art is just art that's created by artists.
We do some kick-butt theater. Lots of kick-butt theater here.